happens. Characters move at seemingly random or pretty much
Dude, are you fucking kidding me?
Environments are necessarily that
really?
compared to any other Fnatic game.
It's such bullshit. Oh my god, really?
Office, which has actual sound effects. Which, come to think of it, makes me a little sad that this is the one thing I can remember about this. I know it sounds like all I'm doing is ripping on this game that honestly isn't even bad in retrospect, but this was one of the final games I played for this video, and I think I was mentally tuned out of everything Fnatic at this point. But with that finally out of the way, Radiance would begin their work on Fnatic 2, I believe it's called. They would minimize the amount of posting they'd do on their social media, until one day, nearly 8 months later, at the end of July 2021, they released a demo for the game. When launching, it looked pretty promising, even with a unique animated opening. That is, until halfway through, Willie glitches out to reveal Funtime PNM. I'm not telling you his real name yet. You just have to trust the process. So yeah, this isn't the Bleeders Casa demo. It's another sister location game. However, this time there's an actual game attached to this one. It's not just a shitpost. Well, I mean it is, but it's at least pretty well made. Bleeders Casa sister location takes 2 minigames from FNAF sister location and remakes them using Fnatic characters. I say that extremely loosely, it's literally just this guy. The first minigame is a complete remake of the Night 3 repair minigame from the original sister location. You have to press a certain amount of buttons on Funtime Mickey here until you can eventually get his innards and repair them. Just like the FNAF equivalent, Funtime Mickey has his own bonbon, a puppet of Oswald, who also has a name, but you know, trust the process. It plays out exactly how it normally would, where you have to position your cursor around Mickey's torso until you can get Oswald to appear long enough where you can shut him off using a button on his chest. This minigame for sure wasn't anything too special, especially compared to the next one, but it does give a pretty good look at some of the detail on these models, and it's genuinely impressive. Funtime Mickey has a lot of scribbles and markings all over him too, and it's kind of fun looking around and trying to find Easter eggs and references. The second, and easily best minigame, is another remake, this time of the breaker room section. So first and foremost, we no longer have a danger meter, we have a swag meter, which is better in every way. Secondly, I'm sure the absolute first thought on your mind is whether or not Funtime Mickey over here has voice lines, since Funtime Freddy had them in sister location. To that assumption, you'd be right. Funtime Mickey is voiced by none other than Coach Carter. All of his lines that are used in this game are from Pulp Fiction, which oddly kind of worse in this incredibly out of context situation. Anyway, the minigame plays out exactly how it does in sister location. But once you complete it, it turns out that we weren't just powering the building, but instead a self-destruct sequence that's going to destroy everything in the building. As to be expected, everything blows up, followed by an end screen. There's also a small teaser of this box thing. So back on the main menu, and we finally get access to an extras menu, where we can finally see what the Funtime Mickey is actually called.
Animatronics D's! Not!
We're moving on, I don't care. How does one even start a section like this? After playing literally everything the Fnatic series had to offer, Bleeders Casa stands far above it all in many ways. I have a lot to say about it. I'll start off by saying right now, playing Casa was the best experience I've had playing a FNAF-like game since my original playthrough of Project Readjusted 3, which, if you know anything about me or my content, was the game that got me back on board with FNAF. As I was playing Casa, I probably wouldn't say that, but after closing the game and letting it all sink in, I'm pretty confident in saying just how good this game was. In many ways, Bleeders Casa is a very natural step forward. Not just for Radiance, but the Fnatic series, and I guess the fandom as a whole. While on the surface, Casa still has its roots in FNAF, I don't think I would consider it a fan game that much. It's been increasingly more clear that Radiance is moving away from FNAF, which is fine. Five Nights at Treasure Island, while very obviously being restrained to the fact that it is a remake of a fan game, still tried its best to differentiate itself from FNAF while still being faithful to the source. Bleeders Casa takes it another step forward, not only by dropping pretty much any sense of branding related to FNAF aside from the UI, it's pretty much its own game now. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I would pay money for this. It feels wrong that this is a game you can play for free. There is so much love and care put into this game that it's genuinely hard to try and point out every little detail and reference to other mediums. And trust me, if I did, we'd be here all day. The fact that Radiance saw Casa 1.0, which was an already solid enough experience on its own, and decided that it needed more, says a lot in itself, even if 2.0 was to fix bugs and not much else. But they didn't even stop there. It's a whole other game now, one that's genuinely far beyond what I think anyone was expecting. I know this very long introduction to Casa segment is pretty much me glazing the game, but but I guess it's me trying to understand how a game like this even exists, given everything we've looked at so far. Casa isn't perfect, I have some complaints here and there, but it's so hard to even factor those in when I think of Casa as a whole product. Alright, I'm going to stop my ramble there and continue essentially where we left off. Shortly after 1.0 released in November 2022, Radiance would spend many weeks patching and locating bugs that people reported. And I mean, there were a ton of bugs. However, whenever they tried to fix one issue, it would create two more. It got so bad to the point that the team thought it would be easier to recode the entire game from scratch than to patch it in the current version. So, a couple days after launch on December 2nd, Radiance announced that they would be doing just that and recoding the entire game from scratch. A new version they called 2.0. This version would see a different development team, a much smaller team than that. Since there was already a basis of what they wanted, keeping the team small to prevent issues, trading files back and forth, could actually be possible. Along with the announcement of 2.0, they announced it would be the definitive experience, with all the bells and whistles that 6.0 had and more. Development for 2.0 went mostly as planned, although Radiance was relatively silent on it. I remember hearing rumors of stuff they were adding from some inner circles, and I can't lie, some of the stuff people were saying were implemented into 2.0 legitimately sounded impossible. It took the 2.0 team a little over 10 months, but they had the definitive version of Oblivion's Casa, the one that Radiance wanted people to play. I remember briefly talking to Nocturna around August, about a month before launch, and I said something along the lines of, I meant to go back and finish Casa, and the answer I would keep getting would be, wait for 2.0. And I mean, the 2.0 team said this to literally everyone. I can really see why now. The difference between 1.0 and 2.0 is night and day. But finally, at the end of September 2023, Radiance released 2.0.
Today is December 1st, 2004. This is Dr. Jared Rowley speaking, and my patient's name is Jake Smith. Jake Smith was declared missing in 2003 during the Discovery Island incident. A year later, on July 23rd, 2004, he was found and taken into custody after displaying signs of delusions and paranoia. Currently, he's a suspect in the disappearance of Greg McLaughlin, Lisa Birch, and Henry Miller. Now, Jake, can you tell me anything you recall from your time on Discovery Island? Maybe you'd like to talk about what exactly caused you to vanish like that, or where you were.
I didn't think it would be that easy, but it is.
Behind you, Jake?
Okay,
You spent a year
that's
on
really funny.
You lost a year.